YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for October 15th through 21st. This week I read 4 books, I watched 3 shows, and I listened to 1 book. First this week I finished History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. This book is narrated by Griffin, who just lost the love of his life, Theo, to an accident. To complicate matters, Griffin and Theo had broken up when Theo went off to college, and Theo was now dating Jackson. Griffin and Jackson are both grieving the loss of the boy they both loved. I'm not gonna lie, this was a gut punch book. Obviously it deals with grief and love and longing, but over time you come to realize that it also deals with revenge and loss and sorrow. There were times in the middle when I thought the book was going on a little bit too long, but then a series of plot twists came to fruition and drew me right back in. I also enjoyed the timeline of how this book was presented. We alternate between chapters in the present and chapters in history, and as that history approaches the beginning of the present, we start to understand more and more things we didn't know about the characters. There's a scene that takes place in a drugstore that had me laughing out loud in public because I was reading it in a restaurant on my lunch break, so it's not all sadness. You need those emotional highs to really resonate with the lows. And sometimes Silvera is able to do that all in one contained paragraph. Next I finished Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This came in the mail right in a gap in my reading schedule because the book I was planning to read next didn't come out until the following day. So I sat down and devoured it all in one go. What's best is I had forgotten I ordered it from Book Depository, and since it takes a while to get to Canada, it was a surprise. This story is about Eliza, an extremely successful and anonymous webcomic creator who is in her last year of high school. Only her family and a couple of online friends know that she is Lady Constellation, which is the screen name for the creator in the Monsters Sea forums. And it becomes pretty clear that her family doesn't know how popular the comic is. She gets millions of views, nor do they really get it. Eliza is an artist trapped in a family of athletes, and she doesn't really have many IPL, in physical life, friends. She keeps to herself and spends all of her free time creating this world. A new kid arrives at school and is a Monstrous Sea fan, the first she has found in the wild, and the story goes from there. I'm a sucker for any fiction to do with fandom, and I was pulled into this story. I found the unblinking acceptance Eliza had for her new friend who couldn't speak in public juxtaposed her inability to speak to her parents about her work. They understood she was really into it, too into it in their opinion, but they couldn't fathom why. They tried to accept it, but only after years of trying to change her into a sporty member of the family. If you are looking for a book interspersed with webcomic drawings, complicated families, and secrets, this is a book that you should pick up. The book I was most looking forward to this week was It Devours by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Cranor, the second Welcome to Night Vale novel. Although you'd spot more references to previous plot points if you're familiar with the world, this is a standalone novel, meaning you do not need to be caught up or even have listened to the podcast to read it. You might be slightly confused though if you go into it not knowing that Night Vale is a strange, strange place. This book follows Nilanjana, one of the scientists in Carlos's lab, who is trying to figure out why there's holes being punched in Night Vale, as well as who or what is responsible for this destruction. Her investigation leads her to the Church of the Smiling God, but could this just be a coincidence? Science and religion are so often polarized, but why would the church team up with City Hall to stop science? I've been waiting so long for this book. I read it all on release day via the Cloud Library app, and was not disappointed. I saw copies of it in the bookstore the other day and got so excited for my copy to finally get here so I can show it to you. The physical object is a work of art. The edges of the pages are Night Vale purple, and the end pages are glorious. It was weird, and it was wonderful, and I loved it. And finally this week I read Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is a thriller, and I save this book specifically for the spookiest of months. It follows Quincy Carpenter, a woman who is the sole survivor of a murder spree when her and her friends were celebrating a birthday in the woods. Along with women named Lisa and Samantha, the press have deemed them Final Girls, as each of them are the sole survivors of attacks. Throughout the book, you get to know about each of the attacks that made them infamous, and how each of them tried to deal with this aftermath. And, of course, the plot takes a turn for the worst. This book is an emotional roller coaster. One particular character comes into Quincy's life and seems to amplify every aspect of her personality she's tried to repress in an attempt to be normal. Also, can I say that Quincy's mother dealing with her tragedy by giving her a lifetime supply of Xanax and telling her to be normal is just bullshit? This book got twisty like all the best thrillers should, and I appreciate that I didn't see the end game coming. Which, to be honest, is how I prefer it, because if I'm absorbed into the book, I'm not popping out of it and theorizing how it's going to go. This week we watched episodes 8 to 11 of Riverdale, and many of the parents continue to be terrible. What I found the most standout was 2 characters crashing a party and deciding that they were going to play a game, which is basically everybody smack-talking each other. No one would actually turn off the music for this. The one parental figure was useless until it was over. I have a feeling this whodunit will not wrap up in this season. This week on Survivor, some of the moves from the beginning paid off. As predicted, there was a team swap. Given one team was down 2 players, which means that the team that still had 6 players would have to sit out 2 players when they had challenges. A player I distrusted since the beginning went home. As for Downton Abbey, we finished the 5th season and moved into the 6th and final season. I'm going to be so sad when this show is done. I've seen various books at work regarding this series, and they make me happy every time, although I refrain from opening the Rules for Servants because I do not want to sprain my eyes by rolling them too hard. This week I listened to Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart. This book is told for the most part in reverse order, starting with chapter 18, working back to chapter 1, and then going back to chapter 19. The thing I like about this ordering is you have to piece together how Jewel got to where she is, at the same time as figuring out which of the stories she's told are lies. You know pretty much right off the bat that she is an unreliable narrator, or at least has some form of espionage going on, but as you go back in time you can't help but try to piece things together. You try to figure out her motives and why things had to come to such a high-stakes standoff. Jules uses a variety of different accents through the books, trying out different personas, and I appreciated that the voice actress who was narrating was able to do a passable job of each. This is a book that makes you question what you know, and the truth can be very slippery. That's it for this week. If you read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down in the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I'll see you next time. Bye!